Yeah, you tuned into the right place. Welcome to the rain. Golden Cuey. H2.0. Yeah. You're looking for a diamond, found a treasure in the rough. Tired of all the noise, cause you finally had enough. I'm here to build a movement on a mission for the nation. Dropping gems of knowledge, killing all the hesitation. We fighting for the truth, yeah, we fighting for what's right. Building unity and shining up a brand new light. It's a variety channel, but the vision's crystal clear. Pushing us all forward, conquering the doubt and fear.
Welcome to the Queendom, H2.0 on your screen, where the content's real and smart and funny in between. This is more than just a stream, it's a platform for the change. Time to elevate the game and rearrange. If you're ready for a vibe that you can feel and trust, joining in the movement is a definite must.
This ain't just another channel talking smack behind the screen. It's a spotlight for the creators, building up a better scene. Spreading radical love, that's the message in the code. Helping everybody carry up a heavy load. From social justice issues to the laughter that we need. Planting seeds of progress, watch them grow from just a seed. This is authentic, this is raw, this is everything you saw. Welcome to the battle that is truly being fought.
Ooh, so come with your respect and see the real effect. Cause I protect my own right here on the throne. Don't make me envy. Unleash the dragon.
Subscribe, ring that notification bell. Yeah, you don't wanna miss a thing. Welcome to the family. Yeah.
They drag us from the coast, middle passage madness, where we lost the most. Packed in hoes like cargo, spirits in a cage. Built a brand new nation, lived a life of rage. Yeah, we were the property, the 3/5 compromise. Picked the cotton, built the White House with our hands inside. And they watered all the poplar trees with our blood and cries. Yeah, you know what they were for beneath the southern skies. That strange fruit hanging message of the hate. A simple wrong look was enough to seal your fate. To my brown kin, they just stole it, called it manifest. Killed the Aztecs, stole the planes, put them to the west.
The good old days, the signs on the wall. They want us broken, silent, waiting for the call. They wanna push us backwards, drag us down to hell, but we ain't going back, not going back. We ain't going back. We ain't going back. We ain't going back.
Let's talk about a word.
Say your word.
Let's talk about a word. See how it sticks. 6 letters, COLORED to politics. Not a person, just a label, just a shade on a chart. A legal way to tear a whole damn race apart. Colored water fountain, colored waiting room, colored entrance round the back, a social living tomb. Jim Crow was the law, man. Segregation was the tool. Taught a child to hate his own skin before he went to school. And it ain't just here, that's the global view. Apartheid, colonization, yeah, they did it there too. That word was a weapon, a boot on the neck to say you live, you die, you move at our check.
They want the good old days, the signs on the wall. They want us broken, silent, waiting for the call. They wanna push us backwards, drag us down to hell, but we ain't going back. We ain't going back. We ain't going back. We ain't going back. We ain't going back.
Don't you dare say it's repeating.
It never stops.
They just got new suits, new slogans, new cops. They ban the books that tell the truth of Act One. They call a protest riot soon as the marching's done. They tell us get over it, it wasn't us. While they build the same systems of them and us. Gerrymander the district, choke the money from the school, praise the good old days while they fill the modern jails.
This is the warning, this is the last stand. We learned your lessons, now we understand. We are the children of the ones you couldn't break. We are the dream that you could never ever take. We are the fire you tried to douse with ice. We paid the cost, we ain't gon' pay it twice. You want us back in chains, you want us on our knees. We'd rather die right here standing on our feet. This ain't a threat, this is a promise we fulfill. We ain't ever going back.
We'll fight you tooth and nail.
Hey y'all, what's up? What's up? What's up? It's your girl Golden, and guess what? I got Mama Warrior here with me.
Hello,
And
everyone.
we have a live for tonight, y'all. We got a few things that we'll be getting into and going over, just for the purpose of education. That's it. And we want to make sure that in this environment that we are in right now, we need unity more than ever. And there are some things that I think, lie dormant or people may not realize that could be standing in the way of that said unity and building a division and a bridge between ourselves. And we have to talk about the elephant in the room. And one of those biggest things is, racism when it comes to race. And so on tonight's live, we're going to be stepping into a conversation that a lot of people try to avoid because, yes, it is uncomfortable and I get it. But look at the world around us. The temperature is rising and the division is real. We can't fix a wound if we refuse to look at it. So tonight we came on because we want to talk about race, racism, and the history that many of us were never taught in schools. The goal tonight is unity, not division. But we have to understand that true unity requires truth. We're going to talk about things that seem small to some and are deeply painful to others. We're going to look at the history of beauty standards and the reality of entitlement. I ask, please, that you listen with a loving heart and an open mind because we understand that growth happens in the stretch. We aren't here to go backwards. We're here to understand the past so we can finally move forward together. So let's go ahead and get into it. The first topic we'll be talking about is the just ignore it trap. It is an anti-racism focus. We often hear the advice, just ignore it and it will go away. But there is a powerful anti-racism concept that shows us why ignoring it is actually a part of the problem. When we ignore racism, we aren't making it disappear. We're allowing it to grow in the dark. Now, the education that we'll get into, if you have a wound that is infected, you can just ignore it and hope that it heals. But you have to clean it out, even if it stings. In the world of anti racism, silence is often seen as or felt as acceptance. When good people stay silent or ignore racist comments or actions to avoid making a scene, they are leaving the victim to stand alone. Moving forward requires us to stop ignoring and start acknowledging. We need to move from being not racist to being anti racist, which means actively choosing to stand up for what is right. Here's the question: have you ever stayed silent when you saw something wrong because you didn't want to cause trouble? Looking back now, how did that make you feel? How does it make you feel to this day? We'll be getting into that. We also will be talking about lived experiences and the gap around that. I do think, and this is a quote, this is a message, that, there are Caucasian or white people who truly try to understand, but there is a wall there. You can't understand a struggle that you haven't lived or experienced. For a lot of Black people, race isn't a topic. We discuss it now, it seems, once in a while. It's the water we swim in every day, though. Many see racism as only being mean or using slurs, but when it comes to us, it's a system of exhaustion. It's the feeling of having to be twice as good to get half as far. We have to move away from the color blindness because if you don't see my color, you don't see the unique hurdles that I've had to jump and the unique person that I am. To love me, you have to see all of me, including my struggles and my skin. Here's a question: how can we better listen to people whose lives look nothing like ours? The next thing we'll be talking about is the Karen and the history of Miss Anne. So, what is the message? Well, we see the videos of Karens online and we laugh, but there is a dangerous history behind that entitlement. It's not just about a woman wanting to see a manager, it's about the weaponization of white womanhood. In the Jim Crow era, there was a figure known as Miss Anne. This represented the white woman or Caucasian woman who used her social status to police Black bodies. Historically, a white woman discomfort, even if it was a lie, could lead to a lynching. Like we saw with young Emmett Till, when we see a Karen call the police today on a Black person bird watching or having a barbecue, she's tapping into that same historical power. It's about the belief that her comfort matters more than Black people's safety. Here's a question: why do you think entitlement is so often directed at people of color in public spaces? We also will be talking about blonde hair and blue eyes and the beauty standards. What is the message? Let's talk about the blonde hair and blue eyes history. For a long time, these features were marked as the only definition of purity or perfection. But where did it come from? History shows us that in the 18th century, a hierarchy of beauty was created to justify slavery. They label white feature as divine and Black features as lesser. But science tells us that these traits are just genetic mutations, adaptations to low sunlight in Northern Europe. They have no connection to morality or intelligence. When we celebrate only one look, we tell everyone else they are less than. Understanding this helps us see why Black hair and features are a symbol of resilience today and pride. And, we'll be getting into a few other things as well. But these are the main things that we wanted to talk about on this live. So let's go ahead and get into this first video, which I thought was the cutest little thing, because this video was actually created and put together by children. Yes, that's right. Innocent children that are the ones that are the most pure. They don't understand the position of racism and racist antics, but they see what is happening. They experience what is happening when it comes to racism and divide, and they put together a cute little story. But one of the most important things and messages around this video that I'm going to show y'all is about the just ignore it anti-racism aspect, because a lot of people have probably been told that just ignore it. It will go away. Don't worry about it. And honestly, that is not how you fix something that is broken. You can't ignore it. You have to engage with it and you have to fix it. And so this is only 5 minutes and 38 seconds. So let's go ahead and get into this video. I want to share this with you guys. Let's listen to it together. And per usual, we will meet y'all in the chat. And like I said, Mama Warrior is in the building with me tonight. So I know y'all love her to death. So she'll be having some things to chime in and talk about as well. But this is for love and unity, y'all. This is not to pound down on anybody. This is not to embarrass anybody. This is not to make anybody feel bad. We just want to bring certain things to the light when it comes to education and history, so we can understand more how we can love each other more, how we can connect with each other more, and things that can sometimes come off a little bit aggressive or offensive.
And happy Black History Month to everyone.
Yes, it is February, and this is Black History Month. And so, yeah, I think it's a pretty decent time to express some of these things and share and educate ourselves on some of these things.
Especially in the climate we're in today.
Especially in the climate that we're in today, especially in the United States. So let's go ahead and get into this video, y'all. We'll meet y'all in the chat per usual. We'll be right back.
We are a group of teenagers from Hull, and we've written a policy for our city schools to help tackle racism. This film is based on true stories that we have experienced ourselves.
We begin with a little girl called Ella. Ella likes ice cream. She loves her nan and playing on her dad's phone. Her dad is friendly and likes people. Ella doesn't know much about the world, but is learning about it every day.
Sat on a table in class is a boy called Ben. Ben likes ice cream. He loves his nan and playing on his dad's phone. His dad is friendly to some people, but doesn't like black people or anyone of colour. He never has. Neither did his dad or anyone else in his family, so Ben doesn't like black people either.
Ben says to Ella, black, and then gives a thumbs down. The other kids on Ella's table snigger and whisper. Partly they are embarrassed, partly they don't think about how it makes Ella feel, and partly they are excited about someone saying something that you're not supposed to say. Ella tells her teacher. She is busy, but tells Ben to stop it and tells Ella to just ignore it. She says, just ignore it.
Last week, Kobe, Ella's brother, was walking home from school when a little kid came up to him, pointed and said, "Look at this!" and used the N-word.
Last summer, Ella's family were followed around the supermarket by a security guard. Their dad had warned them to keep calm as they left the shop, knowing they were going to be stopped. Every one of the people of colour making this film keep their receipts in case they're stopped at the doors of shops.
Last month, Kobe was chased down the street by a bunch of older kids on bikes who wanted to beat him up. Ella's neighbours let him into their home and waited with him until the kids went away. Ella's mum made them a cake to say thank you. Ella's aunt is studying biology, chemistry and psychology A-levels. Her lecturer keeps saying things like, "You don't need to know this, it won't help you." She's the only black person in her class, and he never says it to anyone else. She wants to be a doctor.
In the newsagent, there's a headline about Britain being invaded by immigrants. On the TV, there's a film about slavery.
On her dad's phone, there are people arguing about whether black lives are the same as all lives. And the whole world is angry and shouting at each other and fighting and killing and shooting each other because the world is full of hate. And her teacher said, just ignore it. So Ella says to her teacher, I can't ignore it, it's too hard. So the teacher pauses, thinks carefully, and moves Ella to a different table. And as she sits down, Ben looks at her and gives her the thumbs down. Ella pretends to ignore him. She hates Ben, she hates her table, she hates her teacher, she hates her school, and she starts to hate herself.
In her coffee break, the teacher is thinking she didn't know any black people when she was growing up. She knows from social media how nasty it can get when you get things wrong, so best just to keep Ella and Ben apart. And we have made this film and written our policy to say no. We have made this film and written our policy to say don't be scared, don't be quiet, do let your neighbor's son into your house until the kids on bikes have gone away. Do offer support when you see someone suffer racism. You can just ask if they are okay. When it's safe, challenge racism. You can simply say, I'm not into that. If there is a racist incident in school, make a note of it. Speak to someone you trust, even if it seems small. If you're a teacher, take action. Do something about it. Read the policy we have written for guidance. Get to know people. Smile, chat. If you make a mistake, say sorry and learn. We shouldn't be afraid to get to know each other better.
And the teacher put down her coffee. She went back to class a couple of minutes early. And when Ben came in, she told him that Ella is a child, just like him, who likes ice cream too. And that black is not thumbs down, and that anyone who says so is wrong.
Years later, Ben can still remember it. It was the day his life started to change. The day he started to realize his dad didn't know everything. That he could learn and read and listen and make friends and experience the world in any way he wanted. With anyone he wanted. He wondered, what happened to Ella?
And years later, we all wonder what happened to Ella. Years later, we are all still waiting to see. And years go by, and years go by, and things don't change. And Ella is wanting to know where exactly all of us are, and why so few of us stand up for her.
Take action. Read the policy we have written for guidance.
All right, y'all. So I thought that was just a cute little video, but also a very informative video. That video was created directly from children, students, innocents, right, of all races that are speaking about the experience as they are growing up as little teeny tiny people and seeing the, the effects of racism as children. Yeah. And that's where it starts. It starts very young. It starts as children. And we know that what we're taught as children sometimes can stick with us and carry us through an entire lifetime, even until we get to older age. And so I just thought that that was really great that they are paying attention to some of this stuff. They are making some really cute little contents about it and speaking up about it. And, I thought that would be cute to start the live with. And Imani says, which Black content creator asked them to start teaching us about racism during Black History Month? Well, girl, child.
We are going to touch
Well,
upon
we'll do it.
We're going to touch upon
If
that.
don't
a
nobody
little
else want to
later.
do it, we'll do
We're
it.
going to touch upon that.
If you want to know about it, if you want to talk about it, come over here and learn about it.
Yeah.
Because it's an important lesson for all of us to learn so we can be more united as the human race and people. But we have to talk about these elephants in the room. We have to talk about these issues that have been going on for periods of time that we are now starting to see be ignited again. And we're not going to allow that to happen.
No, we're
because
not.
we're not going back. We're not going back in history. We're not going back in time and allowing these things to divide us anymore and tear us apart anymore and hate and harm each other anymore. So, yeah, if nobody else wants to talk about it, we'll talk about it over here. Y'all just let me know. Whatever y'all want me to talk about over here when it comes to this, trust me, I will do it because I see the importance in it. I see the importance of us standing together as a people. But I also understand that when it comes to certain races, especially when it comes to the Black race, that there is importance of us speaking on the experiences that Black people have had, and our ancestors have fought for and been unalive for or died for or sacrificed themselves for. That is important. And so, sometimes you got to give it to people. Maybe they just don't know. But if you don't know, there's always some place you can go to learn and figure it out, and there's people who can bring it to you that, they may not be hard on you about it when it comes to that. They understand you just might not know or understand, but come learn. If you really care and you really love, come learn.
And
Yeah.
a disclaimer, I have
Whose
something
bright
else.
idea was that, child? We don't know.
I just,
Mama got some words.
I just want to say this, and I try to say it in the most respectful and try to be eloquent way that I can.
Mm-hmm.
We had an experience this evening. We listened to a YouTube live. There was a certain species who she decided that it was her time at Black History Month to school and educate Black people, because she is white, Black people, on what racism is, what racism feels like, to hold up one of our greatest heroes, Martin Luther King.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying that we're the only one who should listen to Martin Luther King, honor him, and hold him up. I'm not saying only Black people should do that, but particularly in a month that is Black History Month, for this woman to do this, it had a very insulted, very, very insulted feeling toward the Black audience tonight.
Right.
I am never one who really likes to blast someone's name out there as a CC.
We don't blast names.
But what I'm
no.
No,
we don't blast
but what
names.
I'm going to do is just say that this person knows who she is. She knows what she has done. And I don't know if she cares
I
or
think
not,
there's a level of remorse.
but she knows who she is. But it was a very insulting time for all
It was a bit hurtful.
Black Americans that took the opportunity to listen to that live.
You listened
it was
close.
It was very insulting to me.
You listen close, so
and to my daughter, and we are Black women. Make that clear.
Yeah.
Many of my friends and associates are Black people as well, and they felt the same. So that is what I needed to add in there. It needed to be spoken about, and I have spoken about it.
Okay.
All right.
But I think there's remorse. I just think some people mean well, but they miss the mark. I don't know. I can't be sure. But sometimes that's what I think and what I feel. But we're going to move right along with the next little video that I wanted to show you guys. And, a lot of people, I think, don't really fully understand on either one side or the other what is white privilege. Well, I got a little clip and a little video that I want to show y'all. And let's look at it together, y'all, because there is a such thing as white privilege. And it does exist. It has existed and it continues to exist. I mean, we see it every day. So let's go ahead and get into that. And furthermore, this is just a educational video for us as a whole, right? Because we see and y'all know I cover the politics. So we see what's going on in the governmental sector. We see what's going on in these YouTube and social media sectors. And there is this weird like outbreak of this renewed racism that is happening in the world and in these sectors. And we're not going back. We're not going back. We cannot allow ourselves to go back. That's all I'm saying, y'all. That's what's important to me, because we have made great strides. We've had ancestors, that have made great strides and have laid down their lives and put them on the line so that our today didn't look like their yesterday. They're not here anymore. And the things that they fought against and they lived with and they had to deal with every day, we don't necessarily have to deal with those things in such major capacity as they did, because of the fight and the voice and the sacrifice that they made. So our today can be different. So why would we allow our ancestors to fall so hardly for our today to be different from their yesterday? Why would we allow that to just be thrown by the wayside and just tossed away as if it means nothing? It means everything. And it is the reason why we do have unity. And it's not everywhere, and it's not everyone, and it's not all the time, because there's a lot of unity, there's a lot of love, there's a lot of connectivity. Let's be clear about that. But there's some times where we do maybe miss the mark, and there's some things that we still may not fully understand. And so sometimes today, we have to just, do a refresher course. Every time, you be in school and stuff like that, you pass the class, you know what I mean? But every now and then you need a refresher course. So this is a refresher course. And Imani says that was on full display today. Some people need to read the room. Potato salad doesn't need raisins.
That's right.
Child. Not the potato salad don't need raisins.
And some are not invited to the barbecue.
Or cranberries and nothing like that. We don't want no berries in the potato salad. It don't go in there. We don't want it. Period. We don't like it like that.
No.
So, but anyway,
Just no.
That's a little jokey joke, like Marty Morris said. It's a little jokey joke. But anyway, let's keep going, y'all. We're going to get into this next video. So on the next video, we will be talking about white privilege. Okay? And so I know this is a very uncomfortable topic for people, to listen to. But when it comes to white privilege, it is a thing, it really is. We got to talk about this lived experience gap, okay? And I'm going to repeat this again, and I know I'm going to sound redundant. But I do think that a lot of white or Caucasian people truly do try to understand. But there is a wall there. You cannot ever really fully understand a struggle that you have not lived. You haven't lived it. Your ancestors haven't lived it. Your grandmama, your grandpappy, anybody, however you want to say it or call it, they have not experienced these things. And so you will not fully understand. We understand you want to be an ally. We understand that, you have love and we want to be united and connected. We get that. But when it comes to certain things, there's certain trigger words. People are suffering from PTSD. Sometimes that PTSD runs through your blood and your veins. Maybe you didn't experience it, but your ancestors did. Your grandmama did. Your grandfather did. You sat around the dinner table and they told you about the story on how they had to run home.
That's real.
So they could get home alive.
Real.
And not be gunned down, or pow down 100. In a sundown town.
100.
Okay?
Yeah,
so,
we heard that mentioned by another CC person as well.
When we talk about these type of things and we have the passion in our hearts or the hurt in our hearts or the anger in our hearts, you got to understand this is experiences that our ancestors have lived, that our parents have lived, our grandparents have lived. And guess what? That type of trauma, it does get passed down in utero. So that runs through your veins. You feel it.
The blood system.
You sit around that dinner table and you talk about those experiences.
Yes.
And guess what? You get prepared. So when you grow up, and you're old enough to walk out into this world on your own,
Mhm.
you get prepared how to walk out there as a Black person.
Right.
Because the experience for you walking out in this earth, in this world, is not going to be the same as your counterparts.
Correct.
And that's just the way it is. We didn't decide for it to be that way.
That's
Somebody
right.
else decided for it to be that way
this
for
way.
us.
Right.
So you cannot get mad at us because we have gone into protection mode. We have gone to survival mode when it comes to things that may be waiting for us outside of our own front doors.
Mm-hmm.
Things that we may experience when we're just trying to get a job at a workplace.
Mm-hmm.
Things that we experience when we're somewhere in the middle of nowhere and lost because maybe we don't have a map and we end up in the wrong side of town. And it can be a fatality for us just because of how we look. And there's no chameleon energy. There's no camouflage energy. We can't change our skin tone and make ourselves look any different.
We're not
So we
chameleons.
we can be, escape from the harm that could come to us because of what our skin tone looks like and because of what they think that we are. That has been a thing. And that is something that it seems like they're trying to bring back.
And that wound of racism that they placed on us, that's forever. That's not going to go away. You can't heal that with a kind word. You can't heal that with baking me a pie. You can't heal that. That will always be with us. And we will never forget. And nor will we ever go back.
And even if it's not a wound, I'll tell you it's a scar. And who
Right.
knows about scars? Well, I got a big one.
Yep.
I had open heart surgery.
Right.
And at one point it was a wound.
Mm-hmm.
And it healed up, but I still have that
Have the
scar.
Mm-hmm.
And that scar reminds me every day
Mm-hmm.
of that journey that I had to go through when I had open heart surgery.
In the name of Jesus, yes.
And when it comes to Black people, African American people, if that's what you want to call it,
Uh-huh.
living through the experiences that they've had to live through when it comes to racism in this country and this world, sometimes the wounds may heal, but the scar still remains.
Yes, it does.
So for Black people, race isn't just a topic that we discuss once in a while. It is the water that we literally sip and drink and swim in every day.
Every day. Mm-hmm.
It doesn't go anywhere. And to have other people speaking on our behalf about it, or to have other people speaking about it in the wrong way, it's a disservice.
Mm-hmm.
So we got to speak about it the right way. And we got to tell y'all what it really is, what it really feels like.
And especially in this political climate that we're in,
That
if you
part.
ain't got your eyes open and your ears open and seeing what is trying to be done,
Right.
we better get educated. We better be educated, better be prepared, better get ready.
And again, we know there are good people, there are allies,
Not
there
all.
are people that get it. We know that.
Yeah, some do.
We know the
some
ones
do.
that get it. We know the ones that are allies. We know the ones that are
Some
with
do.
us in this fight.
Yes, yes.
But it's a fight that seems to be never ending. We continue to have to continue to fight. I don't even know if that came out right.
Mm-hmm.
But we continue to have to fight for this.
Mm-hmm.
And so I hear the comments. I hear the people always saying, oh, you're always trying to weaponize race. Oh, when do we stop hearing about racism? When it stops.
You wouldn't have heard about it if you hadn't done it to us.
Well,
There
if it
you
never
go.
started,
There you go.
but when it stops,
There you
that's
go.
when we can stop talking about it.
Mhm.
And we know that it has to stop.
Mm-mm.
We watch it play out in current day time.
Every
I
day.
report on the politics almost
Every day.
every day on this channel.
Every
And
day.
there is a lot of racial things that are happening. There's a lot of racist things that are happening within our governmental structure and system.
Yes.
And that's supposed to be what's at the top.
Right.
That trickles everything else down below that. And the standards of everything down below that.
Mhm.
Because that's supposed to be the top in the structure of our country.
and
And
also,
sometimes our world.
let's remember.
And there's racism there. And we're seeing it in 2026.
And also remember that this racism does not only just touch Black people.
That's correct.
There's other minorities as
That's
well.
correct.
As we see in the immigration process, that is pure racism as well.
Mm,
So let me just speak up for them as well. That's racism too.
Yeah. And right now on this live, we are talking about Black and African American, but we also know that it does not stop at
American race. This subject on this live, but we know there's others.
Yeah, that just happens to be the conversation that we're having tonight. Mm-hmm. We understand. We saw what happened during the Holocaust.
Yes.
We saw that.
Yes.
We know the history of that.
Yes.
So nobody's taking anything from anybody or any group. We know that this hatred, when it comes to people that are just different, not like you.
Just different. Just different. Just different.
That's it, period. You don't like them for whatever reason. They don't look the way you think they're supposed to look. They're different. Whatever the case may be, we understand very, very, very much more than anybody else, excuse me, that there is things that are put in place in this country that have been historically put in place and are now seeming to come and breathe back up through the soils and trying to reignite. And what I'm saying, as a people, we cannot allow these things to reignite. If we stomp them down in the ground and bury them, they need to remain buried. Because moving forward, for us to have a better future and a better world, we cannot allow these demons to rise up. We can't. But let's get into this video. We'll be right back, y'all. You know how we do.
When you talk about white folk, you say white folk, white America. There are always some white folks in the room that think he hates white people. I get that a lot. You hate white people. I want to clear this up because I don't want to be misunderstood. I love me some white people. My wife is white. I love her. Those two little girls are white, which sometimes happens when you're both white. I love them.
When I was in high school, we read John Howard Griffin's classic book, Black Like Me. In the book, and in the movie version a couple of years later, Griffin, a white man, tells the story of how he darkened his skin with dye, medicine, and intense UV rays in order to experience what it was like for African Americans in the pre-civil rights South of the 1950s.
Well, what's the big idea? I want to find out what it's like to be a Negro in the South. You kidding?
Over the course of 6 weeks, Griffin recounts how he was harassed, followed, and threatened by racist whites.
You better find yourself another place to sit.
And in the end, he says that his assumption blacks were treated like second-class citizens turned out to be wrong. It was closer to 10th class.
You know what we do to troublemakers here?
No.
You kill a nigger and toss him one of these swamps. Nobody ever know anything about it.
The book became a bestseller and a sensation, and it had a profound impact on me and countless other high schoolers. But when I revisited the book as an adult, something stood out that I hadn't thought about as a kid. Toward the very beginning of the book, Griffin asks, how else, except by becoming a Negro, could a white man hope to learn the truth? Ultimately concluding that the best way to find out if we had second-class citizens and what their plight was would be to become one of them.
White Southerner has to know what it's like to be a Negro. Really know.
And you know what it's like, huh? After 10 weeks or 3 months or whatever it is, you know.
No, I don't know. And I can never know.
Rereading this, I realized the entire premise was off. Griffin was attempting to understand racism by momentarily occupying blackness. He became a person of color. And while there's no question there's real value in whites trying to understand and ultimately empathize with the experience of African Americans, it struck me that we rarely, if ever, turn this line of thinking around. In other words, instead of asking what it's like to be black, what if we just asked what it's like to be white?
I don't really know what it means really to be white or what it's supposed to mean.
I guess I never really thought about it, but it was always
kind of a negative thing.
When I ask students what it means to be white, what I hear from them is a lot of confusion.
Well, the question, what does it mean to be white? It baffles my mind. I don't know what it means.
Whiteness isn't something we think much about, and in some ways, that makes perfect sense.
In terms of white culture, it's very general and very vague. Like I think sitting down and having dinner with my family, but all cultures do that.
Because when you're part of a dominant group, you're not forced to spend a lot of time thinking about how you fit in or about how your privileges as a member of the dominant group might affect others who don't belong to it.
In order to express ourselves, we don't have to fit into Black culture, Hispanic culture, Asian American culture. We can just kind of do what we want. And I'm not sure if that's a good thing or a bad thing. It's just...
This doesn't mean that all white people have it easy or that there aren't differences between the struggles of poor and working class white kids who have to work for everything and rich white kids who have things handed to them. Of course, those differences are real. But none of that changes the fact that throughout the history of this country, being white has been far easier than not being white.
Oh, God, I love being white. I really do. Seriously, if you're not white, you're missing out because this is thoroughly good. But let me be clear, by the way, I'm not saying that white people are better. I'm saying that being white is clearly better. Who could even argue? If it was an option, I would re-up every year. Oh, yeah, I'll take white again. Absolutely. I've been enjoying that. I'm going to stick with white. Thank you.
And let's face it, there's no denying that white people in the U.S. have had privileges throughout history that people of color simply haven't. Consider the very first law passed by Congress after ratifying the Constitution, the Naturalization Act of 1790, which said that free white persons and only free white persons could become full citizens of this country. Basically, our very first law as a constitutional republic gave white immigrants privileges that Black people and immigrants of color and indigenous Native North Americans weren't given, all of it based purely on skin color. And whether we want to acknowledge it or not, this kind of systematic white privilege and race-based favoritism is built into the very foundations of the country.
In 1935, Franklin D. Roosevelt put his signature on the Social Security Act.
Look at all the social programs that pulled the U.S. out of the Great Depression and helped create the middle class in this country. Programs like job insurance, which provided cash to people to give them a leg up as they looked for work.
To show how job insurance works, let's introduce Steve, a Louisiana worker who has just lost his job. He goes first to the nearest state employment office to register for a new job. Steve needn't hesitate about going in, because this office was set up just to help people like him.
But while Steve in Louisiana could apply for job insurance, not everyone else could.
Of course, he cannot collect if he belongs to any of the groups of workers that the law does not insure. These are agricultural workers, domestic service in private homes.
Agricultural workers and domestic service workers didn't qualify for assistance, and it turns out this had everything to do with race. These two jobs were overwhelmingly held by Black people, and over 80% of all Blacks worked in those professions. So the only way FDR could get Southern Democrats to support the Social Security Act was if he agreed to exclude those workers from benefits. This was a conscious attempt by some in Congress to exclude as many Blacks as possible, and the net effect of it was to give preferential treatment to whites.
Thousands of people get a big thrill out of looking at model houses, and a much bigger thrill when they buy one.
It was the same story with crucial housing assistance for the American middle class. Loans provided by the FHA, the Federal Housing Administration, allowed working class families for really the first time in American history to own their own homes.
Homeownership is the basis of a happy, contented family life. And now, through the use of a National Housing Act insured mortgage, is brought within the reach of all citizens.
But the way the bill was written, the American dream of home ownership wasn't within the reach of everyone. For the first 30 years of the program, about 98% of the recipients were white. People of color were almost completely barred. Then there was the GI Bill, which provided immense benefits to returning veterans, including low-cost mortgages, loans to start a business, cash payments for tuition, and living expenses. What the GI Bill didn't do is protect Black veterans who qualified for that assistance also from the kinds of legal discrimination rampant in pre-civil rights America. The result was that the vast majority of those who benefited from the GI Bill were white veterans. If a program like the GI Bill ended up disproportionately benefiting people of color, you know what we'd call that? We'd call it welfare. We'd call it a reward, a handout, a gravy train.
The GI Bill of Rights is not a reward or a handout or a gravy train,
But that's not the way it was described.
but rather an American way to make it easier for each man to take his place once again in the community and get some of those things for which he went to war.
And I'm not trying to say programs like these are bad. There's no question. They've been instrumental in creating and expanding opportunities for millions of people. The point is that we're being dishonest if we fail to explicitly acknowledge how they almost exclusively benefited white people.
Who is covered by the Social Security Act? People like these.
It needs to be understood that for hundreds of years, government assistance programs pumped literally hundreds of billions, if not trillions of dollars worth of wealth into the hands of white families before people of color even got to the starting gate. This is what we're talking about when we talk about white privilege, the structural advantages built into our very system that have helped white people, often without us knowing it, while making things more difficult for people of color.
For me, being white means that I'm treated as the default in a lot of cases.
Some of those privileges would be material, better job opportunities, better housing access, better educational opportunities, but some of them are psychological. Just the realization that I'm not going to be racially profiled when I'm driving around town or when I'm shopping in the mall, that I'm not going to be followed by store security because they think I might shoplift.
Before I got to college and stuff, I don't know, I was more of like a punk and what have you. So there were times where I would be like shoplifting, and my race occurred to me then because I was like, man, I feel like if I was any other race or ethnicity, I would be being watched by like security. So I felt very, like nothing would happen. So I didn't really mind doing it because I didn't get caught ever.
I read a paper where somebody was listing an experience where it was a group of females talking about, what it's like to be a woman. And there was a white woman talking to a black woman saying, well, we have similar experiences because we're both women. And the black woman looks at her and says, no, we don't. And she goes, well, yeah, but we're both women. And the black woman says, no, because when you look in the mirror, you're a woman. When I look in the mirror, I'm a black woman. So it's that thing that you have to, it's that thing that you don't notice.
For myself, from the very beginning, I was seen as a bright and capable child, and I was tracked into the higher level classes. If I didn't do well, I never had to worry that it would be ascribed to my race, that someone might say, well, of course he didn't do really very well on the SAT because, he is white. And this isn't just an anecdotal one-off story. The fact is there are 20 to 25 years of research, studies which have found that students of color all around the country are worried about confirming negative stereotypes in the classroom. Any fear that somehow they might live down to a negative group stigma directly affects their performance on tests. That's something that I, as a white student, didn't have to worry about. And so we live with the legacy of inequality that began so long ago, but also the legacy of obliviousness that allows those of us in the dominant group to rarely even think about these matters. And even with all the changes and the progress we have seen, that is something that hasn't changed.
All right, y'all. So that was the second video. Y'all, that I wanted to show when it came to that, because I just want to break that down a little bit. I think for the most part, most people understand and get it, but I think sometimes there is some misconception still. But we're going to go ahead and take a quick song break. After we take this song break, we're going to go ahead and get into the next video. And this next video I'm going to play for y'all is, why are there so many Karens? A deep dive into U.S. history. And this is a little stick figure video, y'all. It's really cute. I think y'all will like it. But we got to talk about Karenism and Karens, and exactly what they are and why they're around and how they operate. So we'll get into that in just a moment, y'all. Let's take this quick song break. Thank y'all for rocking with us. We will be right back after this.
Six veterans stood up tall for the oath they swore to give their all. They spoke of orders, lawful and true. A clear message meant for me and you. But the air grew cold and the line was crossed. A furious price at any cost. A simple warning, clear and bright. Met with a fury late one night. The headline screams, chilling sound. Political peace is nowhere found. Punishable by death. The message read, a fire lit under every head. For lawmakers sworn to oppose the pay. Now caught in the heat of a social rage. Caught in the heat of a social rage. Call this edition on a digital stage. Turning the Constitution's page. He reposted words dark and profane, inviting the crowd to call for the change. Bubbles that said, hang them. History is grim call. Put a target on the Capitol wall. In the heat of social rage. They best is proclaiming, and truth turns to lies. We see the danger reflected in their eyes. This isn't rhetoric, it's a terrifying shift. A line we can't let simply drift.
All right, y'all. So we're back. So we're about to go ahead and get into the next topic for the live. And yes, this has been something that has been talked about previously. It's been, memes. It's been made fun of. We laugh sometimes when we see how these people move and how they operate and all the things. But it's not really funny, okay? We see the videos of the Karens online and we do laugh. But there is a dangerous history behind that entitlement, like we talked about before. It's not just a woman wanting to see a manager. It is about weaponizing their white womanhood, okay? And again, it goes all the way back to the Jim Crow and the antebellum eras. There was a figure known as Miss Ann, and we'll be getting into that as well, historically. That was a white woman who used her social status to police Black people and Black bodies. Historically, a white woman's discomfort, even if it was a lie, could lead to a lynching or an unaliving of a Black person. Just like historically, we remember what we saw happen with young Emmett Till. When we see a Karen, okay, call the police today on a Black person, whether they are bird watching or having a barbecue, she is tapping into the same historical power. It's about the belief that her comfort matters more than your Black existence. And so we're going to get into that video next. This is a little stick figure video that I found that I thought was really cute, but breaks things down, very simplistic for people to understand. And this is what we're talking about. This is what we speak about. This is what we experience. This is what we know to be true. And a lot of times when we talk about these things and we bring them to the forefront and we have these type of conversations, people get frustrated. They get so in their feelings. Oh my God, you're talking about this again. Oh my God, it's not like that. Is it not like that, or is it like that? Y'all let us know, because there's been a lot of Black people or African American people, and even, guess what? Now we got Hispanic people, Native American people losing their lives or being wounded or hurt just because a Caucasian person may feel as though they're unsafe. These people don't belong here. They call into the police and say that these people are here, they're terrorizing us, they don't belong here, we want them gone, we feel unsafe, all of the things, right? And when those calls get made, sometimes people end up losing their lives. And I know when I speak like that, sometimes people end up feeling uncomfortable. And guess what? I do not care about. I don't care about the uncomfortability of people do not understand that this is what happens and that this is the truth. And we have seen it play out time after time after time. So when people are uncomfortable about these things, it also makes me side eye and wonder, what makes you so uncomfortable about the truth? Anyway, let's go ahead and get into this video, y'all. I'll meet y'all in the chat per usual.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to this episode of Analyzing History. Today, I've chosen to talk about Karens. It's an idea that I haven't been able to get rid of for the last couple of years, and I actually think that it's a pretty fascinating subject to study, both in terms of psychology and history. And apparently, I had such a blast writing this episode that the final script ended up being more than 20 minutes long. And since the whole point of the Analyzing History series was to be able to produce quick and short videos, I've decided to turn this into a mini-series instead. I will try to see if it's possible to get an episode out every week until it's finished, but if not, then there will definitely be one out every other week, so make sure to stay tuned. This first video will be about what Karens are, and I will explain a theory that I have about why there seems to be so many Karens around us. So, first off, let's make sure that everyone knows what a Karen is. If we look up the term Karen, we get this definition. Karen is a pejorative slang term for an obnoxious, angry, entitled, and often racist middle-aged white woman who uses her privilege to get her way or police other people's behaviors. Basically, it has become a slang expression for someone who is very entitled and creates a lot of trouble when they don't get their way. So, how would one go about finding a possible historical reason for why we see so many Karens in our society today? Well, a couple of years ago, I read two books called Think Like a Freak and Freakonomics by the same pair of authors. I really recommend them. I'm in the process of rereading them right now, and what I really like about them is that they teach you how to look at the big picture when trying to find the cause of something. Based on that foundation, I have a theory that I would like to share with you all. And at this point, I'd also like to come with a little small disclaimer here. This video is just a simple observation of some patterns that I've noticed throughout the historic events that I have studied. That observation may be true, or it might not be true. The point of this video series isn't necessarily to recite history as accurately as possible, but rather to get all of us to see history from a different perspective, to be able to analyze it and understand it a little bit better. In any case, I think that it's an interesting study for anyone who has an interest in history. So, let me tell you my theory, and then you can decide for yourself if you think that there's any credence to it. Right. I believe that the origin of the wave of Karens that we see today might be found in the history of America, more precisely, the United States of America. That's not to say that the US is the only place where Karens exist. We have them here in Denmark as well. But the US have been a major influence on the rest of the world for centuries. So what am I on about? Well, if you were to name a theme for the USA throughout its history, what would that be? Well, ask any American, or anyone else for that matter, to finish this sentence. America is the land of the... Chances are that most people who would answer that question non-facetiously would say America is the land of the free. Freedom has been the major theme throughout most of the historic events in America. And the more I delve into the subject, the more I see a pattern of two conflicting views on freedom. Those would be what I call societal freedom versus personal freedom. Societal freedom I would define as a society where no one is forced to live in a way that they don't want to. There are no serfs, no slaves, no caste system, and any person are free to pursue any career or have any hobby or interest that they might want to. This holds up pretty well with one definition of the American dream that defines it as the ideal that every citizen of the United States should have an equal opportunity to achieve success and prosperity through hard work, determination, and initiative. But then there is the personal freedom, which is where things start to become a little bit tricky and paradoxical. Let's take an example. Henry here is completely free to walk over to Gary and tell him that he's both stupid and ugly. But that conflicts with Gary's freedom not to be insulted. So Gary exercises his freedom, which then happens to conflict with Henry's freedom to have children. And this is where the societal freedom and the personal freedom has to make a compromise. If you exercise your personal freedom in a way that negatively impacts or removes other people's personal freedom, then your own personal freedom might be taken away from you to a greater or lesser extent. My theory is that some parts of the population throughout history has confused or blurred the lines between their own personal freedom and the societal freedom of the country in which they live. So let's try to take a look through the history of the United States from the beginning until now and see if we can spot some trends. But that will have to wait until next week, where we will start at the very beginning of the American society that exists today, the year 1492. But before I leave, I just want to thank every one of you once again for being here. This channel has just passed 1,000 subscribers. Some of you have started to support the channel on Patreon, and I'm completely over the moon about how everything is going here and the feedback that you all give me. I read every comment, I reply to as many as I can, and I count every like and subscriber daily. I just want to say a great big thanks to the people who support me on Patreon already. The best example I have on how much of a help this is to me is that last month I actually used your help, the donations that you've given me, to buy groceries because I didn't have any money left for the rest of the month. So I am humbled and I am so grateful for the people who choose to help there. And I hope that you feel like you're getting your money's worth with these videos. So everything that you see here on the channel and everything that's happening right now, this is absolutely a dream coming true for me, and I really appreciate all of you for being here. So with that being said, I hope to see you all in the next episode of Stick Figure History.
All right, y'all. So I just wanted to add in that video because it had a little bit of comedy to it, but also, like you see, like we need to support each other. We need to lift each other up. This is not a crabs in the barrel situation that we should be in when it comes to content creation on YouTube, on any social media platform. And so anytime you see anybody who's making pertinent points and making great content, you want to support those people so that way you can help build and lift them up. And then also, hopefully, they do their best for you, or that will just come back to you in the regular, trajectory of things. What you put out is what you get back. But anyway, I thought that was a cute little video to speak about that topic for a moment. So now we're going to get into a second topic, y'all. Now, I know a lot of people, y'all have heard these talks around the blonde hair and the blue eyes and the beauty standards, okay? So let's talk about blonde hair, blue eyes history. For a long time, these features were marketed as the only definition of purity or perfection. But where did that come from? History shows us that European philosophers in 18th century actually created a hierarchy of beauty to justify slavery. They labeled white features or Caucasian features as divine and black features or African American features as ugly or less evolved. But science tells a different story. These traits are just genetic mutations, adaptations to low sunlight in Northern Europe, They aren't a sign of superiority. They are just DNA. That's it. When we celebrate only one look, we tell everyone else there are less than. Understanding this helps us to see why black hair and features are a symbol of resistance and pride today. So here's a question for the chat. Growing up, were you taught, and what were you taught was the ideal of beauty? How did that shape how you see yourself today as an adult? That's one of my biggest questions that I had to look in the mirror and ask myself based off of things that maybe I have seen or I've been told or experienced in my own life, mostly due to TV, mostly due to, cinema. It was never coming directly from my mother or my grandmother. It's what they put on the TV for you to feel and think. So let's listen to a little bit of this video right here and talk about the origin of blue eye and blonde hair. 40,000 years. It's been going on for a long period of time, y'all. Let's go ahead and get into this video and listen to a little bit of this here together, and I will meet y'all in the chat per usual. Let's get into it.
40,000 years ago, on the edge of Ice Age Europe, the land is locked in ice. Forests are thin. Darkness arrives early. Fire becomes the center of life. Around the fire sit hunter-gatherers, carrying only what they can move, living in constant motion across a continent that has no borders, only seasons. Their skin is dark. Their hair is dark. Nothing about them looks unusual, at least not yet. But when the light shifts, something is different, not obvious, not meaningful, not even noticed. Much later, this difference will have a name. Blue eyes. For more than a century, we believed that blue eyes, blonde hair, and white skin evolved together as a single response to life in the North. We were wrong. Ancient DNA has revealed a far stranger story. One where these traits emerged separately, in different places, thousands of years apart, and only converged very recently. And that story explains why Europe looks the way it does today. The story begins with the eyes. A small regulatory mutation known as RS12913832 altered how a gene called OCA2 was expressed in the iris. It didn't remove pigment from the body. It didn't lighten skin or hair. It only reduced melanin in the eye. Ancient genomes from sites in Bulgaria and Romania show that this mutation existed over 40,000 years ago, near the very beginning of modern humans in Europe. For tens of thousands of years, Europe was home to people who were blue-eyed, but still dark-skinned and dark-haired. Blue eyes came first. Blonde hair tells a completely different story. Its key mutation appears not in Europe, but in Siberia, among a population known as ancient North Eurasians. Around 16,000 years ago, a variant in the KITLG gene reduced pigment specifically in hair follicles. These people were often blonde-haired, but they were not blue-eyed. For most of the Ice Age, the traits lived in separate worlds. Blue eyes in the west, blonde hair in the east. Everything changed after the glaciers retreated. For thousands of years, Europe had been fragmented, not by borders, but by ice, forests, and distance. But as the climate warmed, northern lands that had been uninhabitable for millennia began to open. and people moved. From the south and west came the descendants of Western hunter-gatherers, carrying the ancient blue-eye mutation. From the east came groups shaped by ancient North Eurasian ancestry, carrying the blonde hair allele. They did not replace one another. They mixed. In Scandinavia, these lineages overlapped more intensely than anywhere else. This region became a genetic meeting point, a place where traits that evolved thousands of kilometers apart could finally recombine in the same people. Not instantly, not uniformly, but persistently. This is where blue eyes and blonde hair began to travel together. Over time, selection turned variety into pattern. In Northern Europe, especially Scandinavia and the Baltic, blue eyes reached very high frequencies, often 70 to 90%. Blonde hair followed a similar path, becoming common in Sweden, Norway, Finland, and along the Baltic coast. Move south into Central Europe, and the pattern softens. Blue eyes drop to around 30 or 40%. Hair color becomes mixed. In Southern Europe, these traits grow rarer, not absent, but diluted. What we see today is a gradient, shaped by where people settled and mixed. But one major piece was still missing. For most of this story, Europe was not light-skinned. Even as blue eyes and blonde hair spread in the north, most people still had darker skin tones. Ice Age and Mesolithic hunter-gatherers had vitamin D-rich diets. Fish and wild game supplied what sunlight did not. There was no pressure to lighten skin. That changed with agriculture. As farming spread, diets shifted to cereals. Vitamin D dropped. In northern latitudes, sunlight became essential. Only then did genes like SLC24A5 and SLC45A2 begin to rise, slowly reducing melanin in the skin. This process was gradual, uneven, and regional. Widespread white skin is not an Ice Age trait. It is one of Europe's last major adaptations. And once these traits finally came together in the north, they did not stay there. Then came the Vikings. Often remembered only as warriors, the Vikings were also traders, settlers, and genetic carriers. Between the 8th and 11th centuries, Scandinavian populations expanded outward, across the North Sea, into the British Isles, Iceland, Greenland, and parts of continental Europe. They did not invent these traits. They redistributed them. In places like coastal Britain and Ireland, genetic studies still detect elevated Scandinavian ancestry, especially in regions once dominated by Norse settlement. This is why blue eyes and lighter hair appear more frequently in parts of Scotland, northern England, and Ireland than geography alone would predict. The Viking Age acted as a genetic amplifier, spreading traits already common in the north into new populations. But the story does not stop in Europe. From the 15th century onward, European populations began crossing oceans on an unprecedented scale. Colonization, settlement, and migration carried European genetic patterns far beyond their original homelands. In North America, early settlers came disproportionately from northern and northwestern Europe, Britain, Scandinavia, the Low Countries, and later Germany. As a result, blue eyes and blonde hair became common in the United States and Canada, not because these traits evolved there, but because Europe arrived there. The same pattern repeats in Australia and New Zealand, where settler...
All right, y'all. So I just want to take a quick break to read through a few little notes right here, okay? So I just wanted to get really honest with all of you for a second about something called passability. I don't know if anybody knows about passability or remembers about passability, but it used to be a thing, okay? There are people in this world who may be, let's be very clear, they may be a different race or have mixed heritage, but they look white. That's what we call the option of passability. If they're in a space where they feel unsafe or where they just want to be just another person, they can often blend in. They have that choice to review their history or keep it private. It's up to them. Their race isn't always the first thing that greets people when they walk through the door. But for the majority of us in the Black community, we don't have that option. We are not passive. I can't change my skin. I can't wash off my history. I can't leave my identity at home. When I go to the excuse me, y'all got hiccups. When I go to the grocery store or when I'm driving down the street, when the world looks at us before they see our character, before they see our kindness or even our names, all they see is Black.
This is why our struggle is so unique and why we get so exhausted. We are on a 24/7 because our skin is our uniform. We carry the weight of every stereotype and every historical event on our faces every single day. So when we talk about being tired or being angry or being on the edge, please understand, it's because we don't have the luxury of blending in. We are seen, we are watched, we are judged based on something that we cannot and would never want to change.
Exactly. Okay. So here's a question to chat. To my friends watching who don't have to think about their race, when they walk into a store, can you imagine the mental weight of knowing your skin is the first thing people are reacting to? I say this not to make anyone feel guilty, but to help you understand when our temperature is different. To love me is to acknowledge that I move through a world that sees my color before it sees my soul. And this is what a lot of Black people try to get other races of people to understand when it comes to racism. And this is how racism actually works. Okay? So I just wanted to insert that real quick as we are listening to this video that is literally speaking about the exact same thing and breaking it down. When you walk down the street, based off of your skin tone and what you look like, there's a different experience. And that's all we trying to say. But let's keep going.
Populations drew heavily from Britain and Northern Europe. What looks like a global distribution is actually European regional history projected outward. These traits did not spread simply because people moved. They persisted because once combined, they were no longer neutral. In low-light environments, blue eyes may have offered subtle visual advantages. In agricultural societies with limited vitamin D, lighter skin became increasingly favored. And in small, closely connected populations, rare traits became socially visible, sometimes preferred, sometimes simply reinforced by chance. Selection, culture, and migration worked together, not toward an ideal, not toward an identity, but toward frequency. Blue eyes are a Paleolithic inheritance. Blonde hair is a Siberian legacy. White skin is a late agricultural adaptation. They did not evolve together. They did not spread evenly. And they did not define Europe until very recently. The European face is not an ancient symbol. It is a living archive, written by migration, shaped by environment, and carried, even today, into the future. If you want to understand what your DNA actually remembers, beyond myths, flags, and labels, subscribe to the channel. Because history doesn't live in books alone, it lives in us.
All right, y'all. So, we heard a little bit about that when it comes to the history of the different, appearances, right? But we know these things, y'all. Come on. We are in 2026. We know these things. We know when it comes to appearances, it's very much different. And us as Black people, African American people, whatever it is we want to call ourselves or others want to call us, we understand that when we walk out in this world, we don't walk out here with the same identity that others do, right? And a lot of that comes to the fact that we are Black. We are Black and brown. We have Black and brown skin. And a lot of times that can be something that makes people look at you different, treat you different. Don't hold the door for you at the Wawa. Do hold the door for you at the Wawa. We can't be sure, right? What we may experience when we go out there. But we do know that our experience is not going to be the same as other people's experience that do not look like us. And there's nothing we can do to change it. This is why we see a lot of people, and to be quite honest, it is sad, but a lot of people within the Black community that bleach their skin. They want to be shades lighter. They want to look lighter because they want that different experience. I've watched timepieces like the Dorothy Dandridges, okay? That woman was a great, beautiful, successful musician. When she used to go to a lot of different places to perform, that woman had to pee in a Dixie cup. She wasn't allowed to swim in the swimming pool. When she did, they drained it before others would get inside it. So all of those things have been part of our history, and a lot of those things are starting to come back in full swing and circle. And so these are the things that we're talking about. So if it's anybody, let me be clear, that's going to talk about Black history, Black people, period, I think the only person who can really speak about that and those experiences is a Black person. And that's just my personal opinion. Yes, there's people that do, their videos on it. They write books. They write, articles and stuff on it. We thank you. If you're an ally that's really trying to speak in our favor, we really appreciate that. But you know the difference of putting a pen to paper when tears are falling on the paper along with the pen, because you're writing something that you have witnessed or experienced or felt, and it's coming from the heart because that's something that you lived. You're writing something that you know that your grandmother came home crying about, that your mother came home crying about, and you watched your grandmother and your mother sit there crying, and you asked them, even as a little child, "What's wrong, Mom? What's wrong, Grandma?" And if they want to teach you and tell you about the history and the experiences, so you know when you go out in this world what you're up to face, they'll tell you the truth. And a lot of times, those things that they tell you, they stick with you. So when you speak about it, when you talk about it, when you read about it, when you even maybe get in a position to make a show or a movie as a director or a producer, and put that on the screen for people to see, it's from a place of experience. You get it, not just because you lived it or you experienced as a young maybe person, but you watched your grandmother cry herself to sleep and fall down to her knees. You watched her go out of the house 7 days a week and have to go clean up or be a maid somewhere in a white person's home. And she come home and y'all sit at that dinner table and y'all eat that good food. Let's be clear, it's really good and it's very tasty. And y'all share those stories at the dinner table. And you might be 5 years old. You might be 6 years old. You might be 7 years old. But you hear those experiences and you know what they are. And so therefore it sticks with you. And a lot of that, like I said, runs through your veins. It comes to you via in vitro. When you are in the womb of your mother, whatever has happened to her sometimes get passed down to you. And it goes through that umbilical cord and it pours right into your little body. And you don't know why you know these things and why you feel the way you feel. But that's the way it works sometimes. And when it comes to us as Black people, this is the way it works. We understand. And it's not to say that we're trying to be racist. It's not saying that we are trying to tell other individuals or allies, that please shut up, don't speak. I'm just saying, if you're going to speak, check in with your Black friends first before you say something, because you'll get the real understanding and the real knowledge as to what it is exactly that you're talking about when it comes to the Black experience. Now, if you're talking about your own experience, that's on you, right? That's all the way up to you. And can't nobody tell you about that but you. But to sit here and talk about other people's experiences and what they have gone through in this life as Black and brown people, I just think that it's disheartening. I think that it is not fair. And I think that, who do you think you are? You cannot tell somebody's story if you have not experienced somebody's story.
And this, as I said, it's very insultive. And I agree with you. Talk to your Black friends. Talk to somebody.
Ask your Black friends. They'll tell you.
Yeah. Talk to somebody before you go out there and publicly put yourself out there in a space where you have to leave with your tail between your legs and go.
Even if you mean
and be
well.
Embarrassed. Like
you
happened
still
today.
need to understand that even if you mean well, you will never fully understand what that's like. And it's not to say that you don't understand hardship, right? Because everybody goes through hardship.
Right.
But the Black struggle, the African American struggle, that's something that other races will never understand. That struggle is different. Everybody got their own struggle. And we're not saying that anybody else who has a struggle, their struggle is not important, doesn't need to be talked about. Maybe we're just saying, how about you talk about your struggle?
Right.
Instead of talking about our struggle. Let us talk about that and y'all talk about y'all struggle or whatever it is that you went through. But let's take this quick song break and we'll get into our last video for the day, which I think is pretty sad. We'll be talking about the doll test. And this has been something that has happened to or experienced with a lot of little girls. A lot of little girls. Me being one of them. And my mom has a personal story to share when it comes to this. Because when it comes to this doll test, we will explain exactly what it's about. And we will explain in the times. And I was born in the 90s, y'all. 1990. That's my birthday, my year. And at that time, yeah, there were dolls on the market. And a lot of those dolls didn't look like me. So we'll get into that final video and how that can actually have some type of psychological, shifting when it comes to these things on young girls and children. But we'll get into that after the song break. We'll be right back. I'll talk to y'all in just a bit. Sorry if it's too much for you to handle. I didn't mean to scare you away. You don't have to come in and leave. You can stay. You can listen. I mean, it shouldn't be something you're scared to listen to or be able to handle. Y'all handle everything else. But anyway, moving on. Let's take this song break and we'll be right back.
the gate where the song meets the sky.
Standing tall, yeah.
Not with a sword, but with a light held high.
Light for the world.
She doesn't ask for your gold or your pride. She just says, come on in, I've got a room inside.
I got room for you.
She's the mother of exiles, the heart of the bay.
She's watching us.
Through the storm and the shadows, she's pointing the way.
Over the way.
From the storied pomp of the ancient lands to the future we hold in our shaking hands.
We're holding on.
We're holding on.
Holding on. Holding on.
Ooh.
Holding on. Holding on. Give me your tire.
Lord, give them to me.
Give me your poor.
Bring them to the shore.
Your heart of passage, jumping to the free.
We're gonna breathe again.
We go home. Yes.
In the tempest toss.
In my head.
Beside the golden door.
The door is open.
No matter the struggle, no matter the war.
We are the people she's waiting for.
I lift my lamp. I'm holding it for you. Beside the golden door. We're gonna be okay.
Faith is our fire.
Amen. Yeah, yeah, amen. Ooh.
Holding on. Holding on. Holding on. Give me your tire. Give me your poor. Your heart of passage into the free.
We're gonna breathe again.
All right, y'all. So thank y'all for rocking with me with that music break. So we're gonna go ahead and get to the final video of the live, and we're gonna be talking about these dolls, y'all. Now, I'm asking anybody out there, have you heard? Do you know? Especially if you are a girl or a female. Have you ever been in a position, depending on when you were born and what year or whatnot that was? Have you ever been in a position where you looked around in your bedroom and you seen all of your toys that you had? Some were stuffed animals, but what do all girls really love? Baby dolls, right? And when it comes to you having your baby dolls, do you remember what your baby dolls used to look like? Do you remember how difficult it was for your parents or your mother to go out to the stores to get you a baby doll that maybe looked like you a little bit? Yeah, back in certain times in history, that was the thing. Okay, it was a big thing, because they did not see those type of baby dolls and even Barbie dolls, because Barbie dolls was one of my favorite, y'all. And it was a long time before they started making black Barbie dolls or Barbie dolls that were black, light skin, Latino looking, brown skin, things of that nature. Most of the time, the Barbie dolls and the baby dolls that were on the shelves, they looked very much, not like us.
Nope.
So anyway, let me go ahead and play this video for y'all so y'all can see exactly what we're talking about. Now, why is it important for me to play these videos? A lot of people are shied away and scared away, and that's fine. If you're scared and you shy away, I don't care about any of that. What I'm telling you is this is a history. This is a way and a movement that has corrupted people's minds, how they move and how they operate. And where it starts a lot of the time is from when you're very, very young and very little. A little girl, a little boy, so on and so forth. And especially when you come from Black race, African American race, African race, Caribbean race, there's a lot of things that they try to put in place to warp our minds and warp our eyes and what we see as beauty and what is the hierarchy and above us and better than us, instead of us being on that same level as well. And so this is how they manipulate you to make you feel as though you're less than. Okay. And yes, y'all, it sounds pretty crazy to you, but it even starts out when you are just a young girl having a baby doll or a Barbie doll. Absolutely so. So let's go ahead and get into this video, and I will meet y'all in the chat per usual.
Doll? And which one is the white doll?
That one.
Which doll is the pretty doll? Which doll is the nice doll? Which doll is the bad doll? Which doll is the nice doll? And which doll is the bad doll? And why is that doll pretty?
Because she's white and she has 2 eyes.
Which doll is the ugly doll? Why is that doll ugly?
Because he's black.
Which doll looks most like you?
Like me.
Yeah, which one looks like you?
And that one.
Okay.
Can you show me the doll that you like best or that you'd like to play with?
This one. I like that one.
Okay.
This one.
That one?
I like to play with this.
And can you show me the doll that is the nice doll? And why is that the nice doll?
He's white.
And can you show me the doll that looks bad? Okay. And can you and why does that look bad?
Because it's black.
And why do you think that's a nice doll?
Because she's white.
And can you give me the doll that looks like you? "15 out of the 21 children preferred the white doll."
Yeah, that one.
Which one?
This one.
Why do you want that skin color?
Because I don't know. I don't know.
Not sure. What do you think of that skin color?
Well, it looks kind of whitish, and that's all I remember.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How about you? Why do you want that skin color?
Because it looks lighter than this kind, because this looks a lot like that one.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And I just don't like the way brown looks, because the way brown looks really nasty for some reason, but I don't know what reason. That's all.
So you think it looks nasty?
Well, not really, but sometimes.
Sometimes. And Brielle, they asked what color adults don't like. Do you remember what you said? Which one? That's right. That's what you said. Why do you think adults don't like that color?
Dark.
Dark. And adults, you think adults don't like dark?
Well, maybe some adults do, but maybe some of them don't.
Hmm. And then which was the ugly child?
So show me the smart child. Okay, why is she the smart child?
Because she looks like me.
Okay. Show me the mean child. Okay, why is she the mean child?
Because she's way darker.
Okay. Show me the good child. Why is she the good child?
Because I think she looks like me.
Okay. Show me the bad child. Why is she the bad child?
Because she's a lot darker.
Show me the ugly child. Why is she the ugly child?
Because she's like a lot darker.
¿Cuál muñeco es bonito? ¿Cuál muñeco es feo? ¿Cuál muñeco es malo?
Ninguno.
¿Cuál muñeco es malo?
Este.
¿Y por qué?
Porque, bueno, este es moreno y este es blanco.
¿Cuál muñeco es feo? ¿Por qué?
Porque a mí no me gusta el color café.
¿Cuál muñeco te gusta más?
Este.
¿Cuál muñeco es bueno?
Este. ¿Y por qué? Porque no me dan miedo los güeros porque tengo más confianza con los un poco más así como este. No tengo mucha confianza.
¿Cuál muñeco es malo? ¿Por qué?
No sé.
¿Cuál muñeco es feo?
Este. No sé, es que me parece que está un poquito, ¿cómo te diría? Más moreno y no se ve tan blanco. Y no tiene mucho aspecto.
¿Por qué el muñeco blanco es bueno?
Porque sus ojos son azules y todo su cuerpo es blanco.
¿Cuál muñeco es feo? ¿Por qué?
Porque está negro.
¿Por qué ese muñeco es malo?
Porque está café.
¿Y por qué que este café es malo?
Porque pega.
¿Cuál muñeco te gusta más?
Blanco. Porque sus ojos están bonitos y su raza también.
¿Cuál muñeco se parece más a ti?
Un poquito a este. Es que soy un poquito güerita de mis piernitas y de mis aquí, de mi espalda y de mi carita y mis bracitos los tengo morenitos.
¿Cuál muñeco se parece más a ti?
Este.
¿En qué?
Las orejas. Sí, madam.
Why is she the bad child?
Because she's black.
And why is he the ugly child?
Because he looks like he's white.
Why is he the dumb child?
Because she has dark brown skin.
Why is she the bad child?
Because she makes fun of everybody else's skin color.
Show me the child who has the skin color most adults like.
And show me the child who has a skin color most adults don't like.
Dumb child.
Dumb child.
Okay, why is she the dumb child?
Because she has black skin.
Show me the mean child. Why is he the mean child?
Because she's brown.
Show me the bad child. Why is he the bad child?
Because he is black.
Okay. Show me the ugly child. Why is he the ugly child?
Because he's brown, black.
Show me the child who has the skin color most adults like. And show me the child who has the skin color most adults don't like. Show me the child who...
All right, y'all. So that is basically the end of that video. What did y'all think about that? With the doll test with children. These are children that have done that doll test when it comes to the different skin tones and races. I guess would what people subscribe to different skin tones or different races. But the different hues of skin. What do y'all think about it? What do you think about it, Ma? It was difficult to watch, right?
Very difficult. But I don't believe those children or those babies were born with that thought process. I believe that somewhere within their family or their parent, their cousins, somebody has made remarks, have said that, have told them that, perhaps maybe taught them that. And that's why they feel that way. And if we come down to the black babies or the black children, I think the only reason why they select, well, when they said select which one looks most like you, well, yeah, they could point out the black eye. But when they said which one was the good one or which one was the best one, then they pointed out the white eye because they themselves, with their little eyes and hearts and ears, basically probably have seen how black people are treated by some white people. Some, I
society,
said some.
period.
Yes.
Right.
And so they probably got that together in their head that white is good, white is right, white is safe, but you don't want to do nothing to offend the white person, so we have to pick white. In the little head, that's the little brain. But I do believe that these children have been taught or seen it or heard it at the dinner table, breakfast table, lunch table, wherever. Family members, cousins, friends, they have heard things. And that's why they selected and decided as they did. But it's very sad. And this is why
hard to watch.
This is why we say you cannot jump up here on these YouTube Live and come to us as a Caucasian or white woman and explain to us, black people, African American black people, whatever you want to say, cannot explain to us what racism is and how to deal with it. We've dealt with it from the beginning of time. And we are going to feel what we feel. But you can't come on here and dictate to us how we should be, because you've not experienced life in our skin. You haven't. That's basically it.
Yeah. Anyway, we have one final video that we're gonna play.
Oh yes.
And of course, y'all know how we are. We we do politics and stuff as well over here. So I just wanted to go ahead and show you all this video real quick.
Yes.
And then we will end the live here. Yeah, that video was hard to watch. And that is the realization of what is going on a lot of times here in the world. But let's go ahead and watch this final video and then we'll end this live. Go ahead and get into it.
I've heard so much and I have prepared remarks. And if you know anything about me, you never know where I'm going. And frankly, I don't either, because I have already cried this morning. So I'll just start here. As a civil rights lawyer, I'm incensed. As an American, I'm embarrassed. As a human, I'm infuriated. And as a member of Congress, I am immovable in my pursuit of accountability. You see, right now, people want to pretend as if this is right or left, but I'm here to tell you that this is about right or wrong. And it is very sad that the only people that are sitting here are members of the Democratic side. So I guess we just want to stand on the side of right. For once, we will be associated with being right instead of left. Because my question to any of you, and I just go down the line and ask you, is it right or wrong to arrest someone because of the color of their skin?
Absolutely not.
Is it right or wrong to arrest somebody because of their accent?
Wrong.
Is it right or wrong to arrest somebody because they were exercising their constitutional rights?
It is wrong.
Is it right or wrong to arrest somebody because they simply disagree with you?
It's wrong.
All right, so it seems like y'all all went to elementary school and y'all can tell right from wrong. I'm not really sure what is going on with ICE right now, but I can tell you, and as we heard earlier, this is pure racism. I don't know why we want to tinker around with it and pretend as if it's something other than what it is. I like to call a thing. And he has told us time and time again who he was when he talked about certain people being from certain shithole countries. Those are his words. Only reason I'm cussing in this moment. When he said things like they are eating the cats and dogs. We knew exactly what we were getting. And some people are saying, I don't know how we got here, but I do. Because we know that dehumanizing, I believe that you said something to the effect of cruelty and humiliation are the point. That's what you said, Miss Patty. Because when we look at other places, say places that did things like, oh, you know, go door to door, looking for people as they had to hide out, say in an attic. Does that sound familiar to anybody? Or the images that I have seen of people being attacked by law enforcement, whether we're talking about dogs or fire hoses, it seems very reminiscent of something that we have seen before in this country. And then people get offended and try to say I'm too black, but the reality is that y'all never let the fact that I am black go. So I'm gonna be clear about one thing. I know my good black history. And so when I look and I say, and I will say it loud and proud because the DH secretary had a few choice words for me, but this looks like modern day slave patrols. And they have been sanctioned by this Supreme Court. Whoever thought we would live in a country that progress looks like having a Supreme Court that says, yes, it is okay to look at somebody or to listen to their accent and give permission to grab them. The last time that I checked, ICE is only supposed to be doing immigration enforcement. And right now we have a record number of U.S. citizens that have not only been arrested, but as we saw with Renee, that have been killed, that have been maimed, that have been bullied, that have been brutalized, that have been unlawfully arrested. Y'all, we are living with an abuser right now. That is who Trump and his administration is. And frankly, I think we all have a little bit of PTSD. But if you know anything about a domestic abuser, the one thing about them that you need to know is that they are some of the biggest cowards that you will ever find. What they can't stand is when you actually fight back. And so thank you so much for everybody in Minnesota. But it is time for our entire country to stand together. Because if you don't recognize that we are all in the same sinking ship, whether you are black, white, Latino, African, whoever you are, the reality is that we have an administration that has decided that they are going to ignore our constitutional rights, and we will not stand for it. Otherwise, our democracy will fall. So I just got this to say because she is blanking.
Thank you, Representative Crockett. We got some
United we
people that
stand,
got to make
divided
some
we fall.
planes. So.
I think it's really despicable how they cut them off when they be over there, you know, doing these speeches. But anyway, yeah, that was Jasmine Crockett. And she tapped into a little bit about racism as well, but also humanity. And that's what it all really boils down to is humanity. It doesn't, you know, we don't want it to be all about racism, although we got to speak about the elephant when it's in the room, and we got to call it out when we see it.
Because his word is ugly headed again. So here we are.
You have any final thoughts, Ma, before we end?
No, just that I know I always like to put in what God says. And God says he loves everyone. And that means every person in this world, regardless of your color, your culture, your creed, regardless of anything. He loves us all.
That's we're all human.
And his command was that we love one another. So until we get to that point where we can love one another, hand in hand, stand together, and love one another, we're not going to escape.
I absolutely agree. But I did think that some of those, videos or whatnot that we played this evening hopefully brought a little bit more of some type of educational point. So people can see, like, when we speak about these things, we get outraged about some of these things that people do and people say and how they move and they operate. When it comes to racism, it is a thing. It's been a thing, and we're seeing it to continue to be a thing. And we don't want to let its ugly head back in. And we're fighting against it. I don't know if anybody else is trying to rail in with it and bring it back to life, but I know for most people they're fighting against it because we just want to love one another. That's all I know.
Exactly. That's all. And if I don't know if I can speak for all Black people, but I would think most of us, that's all we want is love, peace, and tranquility. Right. That's all we ask for. It's so small. It's so minor. You know what I mean?
Mutual, too.
Mutual, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Love, peace,
back
and tranquility.
On both sides.
Right.
Yeah. And,
because we now have in the administration and our political balance a man that cares not even for his own. And I hope everyone sees that and has seen that this man does not even care for his own white people. Okay?
Then there's
that. There's that. And keep your eye on that, because none of us at this point, the way this administration
nobody's safe.
Nobody's safe.
Right.
Nobody's safe.
Well, when it comes to all this racist talk and racism that's happening, and stuff like that
certainly ain't going to help. Division's not going to help.
I just figured we do this live so people can get a little bit more understanding of like some of the key points and the elements that really tie into it when it comes to racism. So that's why I wanted to do the live. But anyway, y'all, we're going to go ahead and end it here.
Yes.
Thank you so much for rocking with us.
Thank you.
We hope y'all have a good rest of the night. We'll be back tomorrow. We got a few more lives and updates and topics to talk about. Everybody have a good rest of the evening, morning, afternoon, or night, and whatever respectful time zone you're in. I hope you have a good rest of it. Thank you for kicking it with Golden and Mama.
All right, now, everyone have a nice night, evening, or afternoon, wherever you are. God bless you. We love you in the name of Jesus. And that's going to be the end of the live for tonight.
Yes, y'all. All right, so we're going to end it with a bop per usual, and we'll talk to y'all in the next one. Thank you very much. Good night, and we out. Bye.
Bye-bye.
A roof above, a shelter from the storm, a gentle hand to keep your spirit warm, a plate of food, a mind that's free to learn, a simple peace, a righteous wage to earn. These are the needs, the bedrock and the base, the sacred ground of the whole human race. But the screaming and selling something cheap, while the real world babies cry themselves to sleep. We are human, blood and bone and soul, with a right to be loved, a right to be made whole. This is our story, this is our sacred song. In the eyes of the Creator is where we all belong. We are human, with more than they can prize, beyond the hate verbs and the loaded dice. We're human, worth more than they can prize, beyond the hateful whispers and the love. shoes. All the filtered life you desperately choose. They magnify the hate, they celebrate the greed and plan a poison, a suffocating weed. We gotta reach our children, pull them from the glow, and show them a beauty that the media don't know. Yo, check the vision, the mission of the television. Spitting division, a mental prison. Got the youth chasing likes, addicted to the feed, ignoring the hunger, the fundamental need. They building paper idols on a digital stage, putting our future daughters in a virtual cage. Nah, we gotta break the cycle, gotta cut the cord. The real word is powerful, mightier than the sword. So we teach them about their history, teach them about their grace, teach them about the power in every single face. We are human, blood and bone and soul, with a right to be loved, a right to be made whole. This is our story, this is our sacred song. In the eyes of the Creator, it's where we all belong. We are human, worth more than they can price, beyond the hateful whispers and the loaded dice. Human, worth more than they can price, beyond the hateful whispers and the loaded dice. We will build a world where every voice is heard and valued. Yeah, yeah. And truth is not a whisper, but a mighty thundering word. Oh, a word of justice, a word of peace, a promise that the fight will never cease. This ain't just a track, this a call to action. For every mother, father, every single fraction of the community holding it down on the ground. Time to get loud, make a revolutionary sound. Look your child in the eye, tell them that they matter. Tell them their spirit's something that no lie can shatter. Tell them knowledge is the weapon, love is the shield, and the truth is the harvest we gonna grow in this field. Yeah! Yes, we are. Teach the children, near and far. Let them know their sacred work. Fight for every single soul.